It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Now probably most of you know that came from what book? Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens, that's right, 1859. And to me it sort of seems like that's the way we are today. It is sort of the best of times and also the worst of times. It's the best of times because we can be at home, I can be laying on my couch, and I can have access to the entire world. It's amazing what we can see. I can have all my banking information, my credit card information. I can pay all my bills online. We don't need the darn post office anymore. We have all these different things we can do. I can Skype with my grandson who's in San Francisco. It's fantastic. But it's also the worst of times. And by that I mean we not only have access to the world, but the world also has access to us. Everything we do, all of our bank records, all of our checking, all the bills we pay, all of the movies we watch, everything we do online can be accessed by the bad guys. And there are a lot of bad guys out there. Just over the last summer, I started keeping track of some of the businesses that have been hacked. How many people here have ever written a check or used a credit card at Schnucks? Raise your hand. How about at Target? Raise your hand. How about at Home Depot? Raise your hand. Well, all of those plus about 17 other sites have been hacked over this last summer. I mean, it's truly amazing. JP Morgan, if you have a bank account with them, their information has just been hacked. 76 million pieces of information, individuals. So a lot of stuff is going bad out there on the internet. And the age of privacy is gone, Howard. Used to have privacy in your own home, not anymore. So I've developed what I call 3 little rules to use for internet security. Rule number 1, don't be an internet or an email sucker. You know, there are a lot of sites out there that, say all sorts of things. Congratulations, your email address is won free lotto. I win free lotto every single day. I can't imagine. What are the odds? Here's another one. Someone really wants to meet you. Susan, I've got the perfect date for you. We can find you just like that. Every day we could find a new date for you. It's so easy. And there's the P.T. Barnum had the slogan, there's a sucker born every minute. Wrong, there's a sucker born every second. And I'm sure that the sophisticated people here don't succumb to those sort of scams. But believe it or not, I'm watching the 6 o'clock news tonight before I leave. And this woman was on there. She got an email that said, make $300 a week. All you got to do is put a little advertising on your card. And of course it was a scam and they were going to get money out of her. But so people are still clicking on those links. Please don't be an email sucker. The second thing is don't click on pop-ups. And by pop-ups I mean is you're on the internet and all of a sudden you get something like this. Malware found. Oh my God. And this is where people really freak out, and this is actually where I get most of my business. Now I don't charge anybody, but all of my friends that have problems, they call me and they say, Tom, well, I got this pop-up and it said malware, and I clicked on it and all of a sudden I got these 11 toolbars and I don't know what to do. I can't get anything done. Or they get something like this. Congratulations, you just won a brand new computer. Or you're going to get a Walmart $250 gift card. Don't fall for it. Don't click on it. Don't do it. It's a sucker play. And rule number 3, and this is basically what we're going to talk about tonight, is you need to have a good password system. A good password system. So the first thing to remember is don't use common passwords. Now probably the most common one is either the word password or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are actually the most common 10 passwords. Probably the bad guys know what the most common 10,000 passwords are, but you certainly don't want to use those. Don't use dictionary words. Just because there's a word in the dictionary, whether it's regardless or irregardless or some county in Kazakhstan, don't use it because, again, the hackers have access to those and they can do what they call dictionary attacks. And they can run through all of those passwords in like a second on a really good machine to try to find out what your password is. So don't use dictionary words. Third thing is try to use every type of character. Try to use lowercase, try to use uppercase, try to use all those little special characters that you can. Try to use numbers. and bigger is better. You want to have a big, long, nasty password for guys to figure out. There is a great site, and it's from grc.com, and this is a little bit hard to see. But if you can put in a word and it'll calculate what the odds are. And if you put in the word password, if you look down here at the bottom here, it says it'll take less than 2/100ths of a second or 2/1000ths of a second to actually figure out what that password is. However, if you used a longer password, and this says I-want a really long password -123, that would actually take 5.91 100,000 trillion centuries for even the best computer in the world to figure out. So having a really long password with numbers and uppercase and lowercase and special characters really makes a big difference. Also, don't use the same password. You know, it's very easy to use ABC123 or your special password for all of your 100 different sites. And we probably, a lot of us, we maybe might have 100 different sites. Over the years, we start out with 5 or 6, and probably every year we keep adding those. We don't get rid of them, and we like to keep the same password on them all. But the problem is if the bad guys figure out your password on one site, if it's also your password on your US bank site, then you're in trouble. So you need to have a different password on every different site. And don't use variations, because you say, well, I'll be cute and I'll use monkey, and first one will be monkey 01 or monkey 02 or monkey 03. Again, the bad guys will figure that out to try all these different variations. So you can't use variations, you've got to use totally different passwords. And here's a couple little security extras. When they ask you for what's your mother's maiden name, you need to lie. Just lie out loud. Because your mother's maiden name is common knowledge. Everybody can learn that. It's common information that they're going to find on the internet. So you need to come up with a name. Say, my mother's maiden name is Howard Brandt. You know, that could be, who knows what it is. But I mean, if you keep track of that, then if you have trouble with that account and you've got that information, you put in my mother's maiden name is Howard Brandt, you'll be granted access. They don't care what your real mother's maiden name is. They just want to know what you put in. So you need to lie on those security questions. You also need to add your phone number. A lot of times I'll have friends who have had their Yahoo email account taken over. And I don't know how they do it, but the account is taken over, and they have the bad guys put in a new password. But if you have your phone number attached to that particular account, you can actually get a text message from Yahoo and get control back over your email account. So make sure you have a phone that has text messaging capabilities. That's probably 90% of the phones in the United States, but some of the old phones that people may have, you may have an old phone number that you've had for a jillion years, you don't want to get rid of it. Well, that's not a good number for this type of security. You want a phone that has text messaging capabilities. You also want to make sure you keep that same phone number. Again, I know a lot of people that they change carriers. They go from T-Mobile to AT&T or Sprint, and all of a sudden they keep changing their phone numbers. Well, when you do that, you lose that measure of security, and that phone number that used to be okay for securing that website doesn't work anymore. So remember that. And also for really important things, you might want to use two-factor authentication. On some people, you can actually get a text message from an account to actually verify that it's you. I only use this for one particular thing, that's PayPal, where I'm actually spending money, but it's actually another feature that you can use. Now probably at this point, most of you are saying, Tom, let's get real. There is no way that I'm going to be coming up with an 18-character mixed password for every separate account that I have with security questions that are lies and all of this. I say, holy man, there's no way that I can remember it, and if I write it down, I'm going to be in trouble. What can I do? Well, here's my answer, and that's to get this program. It's called LastPass. And I've talked a little bit about this before, and this is actually going to be a second speech. But LastPass is a program that remembers and generates all of these passwords. It'll give you a 35-character, really mixed up, secure password. You don't have to remember it. All you have to do is remember one really good password. That's all you need to do, and LastPass will do the same. So in conclusion, let me just say that the attackers and the hackers, the bad guys, they're getting smarter, and they're getting better, and they're getting faster than we are, and we need to do as much as we can. So at least the first step I want you to do is to try to use those passwords that are really secure, that really use all those different characters, and if you do that, maybe you will have a terrific day, not only today, but in the future too.